I hope everyone is all right. This is Jay Thomas on your radio dial, the Progressive Soapbox. Actually, it's not a radio. I don't want to start off by lying to the audience. But in all honesty, I hope everyone has had a decent night. This is an early Saturday morning. For me, doing the videos, I have a few videos that I wanted to get out, and my wife is, God bless her, believes in Valentine's Day, even though I don't believe in Valentine's Day. And she tolerates the fact that I don't believe in Valentine's Day in the same way that I tolerate the fact that she does. So that's it. She's taking us out for mani-pedis and massage. So good job, Miss Thomas. One announcement. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, her and I are going to do a patron appreciation special. So that show, at the very end of that show, will essentially be saved for patrons. Got to be honest, this was a long night. I literally have been up since 11 o'clock last night, essentially playing chess. Playing Blitz. It's so addictive. You get a rating, and because you get a rating, there's a certain addictiveness associated with the rating. But nevertheless, there's news afoot, and because there's news afoot, me being ever vigilant, looking at the world in this way, let's talk about it. The person behind me is the President of the United States, waving his hands wildly. Donald Trump gave a press conference yesterday that was utterly surreal, surly, bitter, incoherent. The press conference, the entire point of the press conference was to say that he was essentially calling a bogus national emergency. Everybody knows that this is a bogus national emergency, and yet he's calling it nonetheless because he's endowed with the powers of the presidency. In this press conference, though, he didn't just go there. Like, he went to things that were taking place throughout his term. So, like, in one case, he brought victims of violence. He's giving all of these stats, saying Obama was going to go to war with North Korea and saying how North Korea was a success. Like, he was putting out things that he considered a success. And then he eventually gets around to, I'm declaring a national emergency and I'm pulling X amount of money. At 3 points to this. Well, the first point is just a description of what it is, what took place. What I just said is essentially what took place. The second part to this is why. Right? I mean, he knew he was going to get pushback. He talked to various Republicans, Mitch McConnell included, and they told him that he was going to get pushback for this. It is going to split the Republican Party. You must understand, if the President of the United States is going to declare a bogus national emergency in order to pull money for some pet project of his, a pet project that's not necessary, Congress is the one with the purse strings, power of the purse strings, and the President has just gone around Congress in order to get money for one of his pet projects. This is problematic to members of Congress who, even though they cede a ton of power away to the presidency in the standpoint of war, this probably emasculates them a little too much. You know what I mean? Like, this is a bridge too far. It's, oh God, you're emasculating me already, but oh, this is too much. This is too much. Now, so he's going to get pushback on this from members of his own party. But yet, Trump is going to go through with it nonetheless. The question is why? He knows this is going to be taken to a legal suit. In this press conference, he notes what the next steps are in this process, meaning it is going to be taken to court. It is going to probably be struck down, but it may end up winning in the Supreme Court because he stacked the Supreme Court at this point. He's added his own members to the court. So he knows what's going to take place with this, but he's doing it anyway. Now, Trump's thing is, they gave me $1 billion. I negotiated a deal. They gave me $1 billion, a pittance. That is an utter failure. If your name is Donald Trump and you're trying to build a wall and they give you $1 billion, that is a complete and utter. Ann Coulter has said as much. If I'm not mistaken, Laura Ingraham has said the exact same thing. Like, you're not building the wall with the money through Congress. Trump has staked his name on building that wall. Everybody considers it his wall. Even during the shutdown, it was Trump's shutdown because Trump wants to build the wall. Everybody understood it as such. There was no illusions about it. And even him, to do some degree, taking a hit, because they realized it was his. Part of the reason that the Democratic Party was perfectly willing to stand up with these kind of iron spines on this was because the public saw it as his fault. They saw it as Trump shutting down the government. So he stakes his reputation on this. I'm going to get this wall built. He has one failure after the next. You have a tax cut that people have seen less money in their taxes. The destruction of Obamacare, or at least the attempted destruction of Obamacare. I guess what I'm saying is he was looking for a win. And in this case, he wanted that very specific win for his base. And he was willing to go to whatever lengths to do it. Trump could have pulled back here and tried to spend this $1 billion as just a start. But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to try to get some decent number in order to say, look, this is what I got for you. This is what I accomplished. That's what he's going to do. Even though the wider public doesn't necessarily see this as a major thing, and I suspect the wider public knows that this is somewhat of a bogus thing, at the end of the day, Trump's base still loves him for it. Loves him for it. Not in spite of it, loves him for it. Nancy Pelosi is going to take him to court. Or at the very least, the Democratic Party is going to take him to court. In being taken to court, Nancy Pelosi, before that takes place, Nancy Pelosi may also try to divide the Republican Party by forcing a vote in the Senate, meaning forcing people to declare where they stand on the president calling a bogus national security emergency that everybody knows is a bogus national security emergency. In this case, if Nancy Pelosi calls for a vote in the House on this, and they vote to vote this down, the Senate will be required to take up the legislation and make their own choice on this particular motion. So this is going to get interesting within the standpoint of the courts and within the standpoint of the politics itself. Trump believes that this is in his favor to some degree. I mean, he knows that his own party is going to be against him on this, but he also knows that his base is going to be formed on it. Let's take a look at some parts of this. Some parts of this was utterly hilarious. There was one where he gets into a fight with Jim Acosta, and there was another one where he admits outright that he didn't need to do this. Like, somebody asks, when this goes to court, they're going to pull this clip up and they're going to say, Mr. President, you just said you didn't need to do this and that you were able to get some funding from Congress. Why are you calling a national emergency for something that you know is not a national emergency? You just admitted. But let's take a look at this. So the first clip I'm going to show is Donald Trump. This is when he admits that he doesn't have to do this. I had to go to clinic yesterday, to the doctor's office, and I'm sitting in the doctor's office watching this, and I'm enamored by this. Like, it's so surreal. Like, he's so bitter and incoherent. He's all over the place in this press conference. Look it up. I'll put the link at the bottom for it. But let's take a look at some of this. Let's pop me right here. There we are.
In the past, when President Obama tried to use executive action as it related to immigration, you said the whole concept of executive order, it's not the way the country's supposed to be run. You said you're supposed to go through Congress and make a deal. Will you concede that you were unable to make the deal that you had promised in the past, and that the deal you're ending up with now from Congress is less than what you could have had before a 35-day shutdown?
I went through Congress. I made a deal. I got almost $1.4 billion when I wasn't supposed to get $1. Not $1. He's not going to get $1. Well, I got $1.4 billion, but I'm not happy with it. I also got billions and billions of dollars for other things. Port of entries, lots of different things. The purchase of drug equipment, more than we were even requesting. In fact, the primary fight was on the wall. Everything else, we have so much, as I said, I don't know what to do with it. We have so much money. But on the wall, they skimped. So I was successful in that sense, but I want to do it faster. I could do the wall over a longer period of time. I didn't need to do this, but I'd rather do it much faster.
You shouldn't have let him go off script like that. He just admitted, I didn't have to do this. I didn't have to declare this national emergency. I just wanted to do it faster. That's all. I want to get this done for my base. You're not supposed to say that. somebody should say, Mr. President, you're not supposed to admit to that. This is a national emergency. Remember, there's a fire at the border. There's an asteroid that's about to hit the planet. You got to do something. We have to declare a national emergency. You're not supposed to admit that you don't have to do this. That's one problem. The second one I want to show is this awesome fight that he gets into with Jim Acosta, because this was weird and funny, but utterly bizarre to see people acting this way, especially the President of the United States. Again, bitter. It's not even passive aggressive. He's just angry. But Acosta asks him a really good question. It's a question that I was thinking the entire time I was watching this. I was like, he's pulling this out of his ass. Let's take a look at this. I was like, this is utterly bogus. Everybody knows this is bogus. You're doing this for your base. And while I would personally love if somebody who I was pushing for did this for me, like went to these lengths for me in this way, let's be honest about what it is. This is not a national emergency. It's 1 point. Jim Acosta won.
Unifying crime reporting statistics, numbers from your own Border Patrol, numbers from this government show that...
Disaster. I'm stuck with it.
Mr. President, could you tell us...
Women with duct tape over their...
And people get what we're doing. They get it. They really get it. And I'm honored by it. Yes, Jim Acosta.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if you could comment on this disconnect that we seem to have in this country, where you are presenting information about what's happening at the border, calling it an invasion, talking about women with duct tape over their mouths and so on, and yet there's a lot of reporting out there, there's a lot of crime data out there, there's a lot of Department of Homeland Security data out there that shows border crossings at a near record low. That shows undocumented immigrants committing crime at lower levels. That shows undocumented criminals or undocumented immigrants committing crime at lower levels than native-born Americans. What do you say to
you don't really believe that stat? Do you really believe that stat? Take a look at our federal prisons.
I believe in facts and statistics and data.
Any more quick? Let's go.
Let me just ask you this. What do you say to your critics who say that you are creating a national emergency, that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
Moms, what do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons. Okay? Because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN.
You're a politician! You're a politician! Of course it's going to be a political question. You're a politician. And by the way, it's a good question. You are quoting stuff that we have no idea what you're talking about. And because we have no idea what you're talking about, what facts and figures are you using? Where are you getting this stuff from? Where are you pulling this information from? Explain it to us. Because the data that we look at contradicts the stuff that you're saying. And Trump is like, you're fake news, buddy. This is a political question. Missing the fact that you're the President of the United States standing in the middle of the Rose Garden giving a political press conference. Just saying. Trump doesn't like that question. That question hits too close to home. He's going to sit Acosta down, but the next guy backs Acosta up and follows up. This is awesome.
Fake news. You have an agenda. The numbers that you gave are wrong. Take a look at our federal prison population. See how many of them, percentage-wise, are illegal aliens. Just see. Go ahead and see. It's a fake question. Yes, go ahead.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to follow up on that, unifying crime reporting statistics, numbers from your own Border Patrol, numbers from this government show that the amount of illegal immigrants are down. There is not violence on the border. And that
there's
most
not violence on the
there's
border?
not as much violence
really?
as. Wait a minute.
26 people.
Let me finish the
killed.
question, please. Let me finish the question.
2 weeks
please.
ago, 26 people were killed in a gunfight on the border.
I understand what you're saying.
A mile away from where I went.
I was there. I understand. That's not the question. The question is.
Do we forget about that?
No, I'm not forgetting about it. I'm asking you to clarify where you get your numbers, because most of the DEA crime reporting statistics that we see show that drugs are coming across at the ports of entry, that illegal immigration is down, and the violence is down.
Okay.
So what do you base your facts on?
Come on, let's go.
Secondly,
no, you get one. You get one.
Well, the second
just
question
sit down. Sit down.
Could you please
sit
answer?
Sit down. You get one question. I get my numbers from a lot of sources, like Homeland Security, primarily, and the numbers that I have from Homeland Security are a disaster. And you know what else is a disaster? The numbers that come out of Homeland Security, Kirsten, for the cost that we spend and the money that we lose because of illegal immigration. Billions and billions of dollars a month. Billions and billions of dollars, and it's unnecessary.
So your own government stats are wrong, are you saying?
No, I use many stats.
Could you share those stats with us?
Let me tell you, you have stats that are far worse than the ones that I use.
I love that. He says, where do you get your stats? And that's such a basic question, right? That's the Sarah Palin question. Where I think it was Katie Couric. What do you read? And Sarah Palin couldn't name anything. He's like, what do you read? And he said, I read all sorts of stuff. Like what? Well, I like books. I forget how she was answering the question, but she couldn't name anything. And people were like, how can you not name anything? He's asking Trump somewhat of a similar thing. Where are you getting your stats? What are you basing this on? You're coming with us saying that this is a national emergency, that it's so important that I was willing to shut the government down over it, and have nearly 1 million people go without getting paychecks. That's how important this was. There's a fire, crisis at the border, that something needs to take place. Fair enough. The president, however, which is representative of the executive branch of the government, can make that case. That can be the position of the government. That's just their position. That's the perspective that the government has taken on this. It is perfectly legit for opposition, or you can say the press, which is supposed to be adversarial. They're more adversarial with Donald Trump, I would say, than probably the other presidents, to ask, if that's true, what are you basing that on? When I do articles, I tend to put the articles at the bottom of the video because I want you to know where I'm getting what I'm getting. They're asking Donald Trump somewhat of a similar thing, the same thing. Where are you getting this? What are you using to come up with these stats? Because they're asking a question that they already know the answer to. He's pulling it out of his ass. I love it. Donald Trump knows that this is bogus, but he's selling it the best that he can sell it.
But I use many stats, but I also use Homeland Security. All right, next
I
question.
use many stats.
Just a quick follow-up.
Go, please.
He's openly disdainful of the press. I don't know why I enjoyed that so much. It was just funny to me. Trump is BSing. And because Trump is BSing, I love the fact that they stick it to him in this particular way. They nail him on this. Let's see. I think this one needs to go away. Yeah, they're sticking it to him with these just very basic questions of, where are you getting your stats? I have many stats. No. Where are you getting your stats? I have many stats. I have many sources. It's all over the place. But our stats conflict. You don't believe the stats that you're talking about, do you? Well, yeah, because I believe in facts and data, and this is the best facts and data that we have. Do you even disagree with your own government stats? This is brutal, man. He's BSing. He's doing the best he can to BS his way through this. All right. I'm not going to keep this one long because I have another one that I want to do immediately after this. Let's see. He looks awful there. Trump, yeah, he looks bad. He looks bad. He looks bad on that one. But the entire thing was this way. He's flailing his arms. He's pissed off. He's angry. He's bitter. In many cases, he's kind of incoherently all over the place. Like I said, he already impeached his own reasoning for this early on with one of the questions, whether he knows it or not. I don't need to do this. Kind of says, I don't need to have this. I can do this at a slower pace. I am choosing to call a national emergency because I want to do this faster. But you just said you didn't need to do it. It's not an emergency if you didn't need to do it. Emergency kind of, in and of itself, demands a certain need and immediacy. I'm just saying, it's rough. This was a rough one. I'll end this here. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. I'll see you in a few. Let me make sure there's no super chats. Okay. Alright, guys. I'll see you. What time is it? It's 10 o'clock. Alright, I'll see you probably in 10-15 minutes. Thanks all.